Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be talking about my favourite device of 2020. Now I realise we're well into 2021 already, and also Happy New Year to everybody watching. But I want to talk about the Oppo Find X2 Pro, which I think, despite launching in February, May, reviews were done in like February, March, but it was only available for purchase in May. That is still one of my favorite devices of last year, and with the Oppo Find X3 Pro on the horizon, I thought I would talk about some of the things that I really liked, and then one or two of the things that I think should be improved or changed. Just as well to kind of apologise for my lighting situation and everything due to the current lockdown in Ireland. This is about the best I can do. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, this is Adam Conway with XDA TV. Let's get on with it. So, the Oppo Find X2 Pro, as I said, is my favourite phone of 2020. Now, I actually had a couple of these for reasons which primarily I was trying to mess around with the Android 11 beta when that came out. And for one reason or another, the installation screwed up, and so I was without one of these for about a month. Despite me using it as my daily driver, whenever I would review a device, I would actually come back to the Oppo Find X2 Pro and use that again, which is something I've never really done before. When I used to review flagships before, I would generally review it and then keep using whatever flagship I have until I use the next one. But sans the Pixel 5, which I find myself flip-flopping between the Oppo Find X2 Pro and the Pixel 5, I haven't done that. I've just kept going back to this particular device. So first, just to get into the Oppo Find X2 Pro and its specifications. It's a flagship of 2020, so as expected, there's the Snapdragon 865. There's a 1440p 120Hz display, a single cutout camera on the front, 3 cameras on the back, one of which is a periscope zoom, and it runs the company's ColorOS, now ColorOS 11. Prior to that it was ColorOS 7.1, which was based on Android 10. I talked about this before in my OnePlus Nord video, but ColorOS is actually my favourite Android variant. I'm a big fan of it. I like the changes that it has. I like the UI. ColorOS 6.1 looked a bit like an iPhone ripoff. Again, not getting into that. But after that, it got very, very, very good. And I was extremely happy with it when the Oppo Find X2 Pro launched with it, because it is a major improvement and has a lot of useful features. The Oppo Find X2 Pro also has 12GB of RAM and 65W fast charging. You can charge it from 0% to 100% in about 40 minutes, which has been one of the best features for me. Prior to COVID, I used to go out a lot and I would be quite busy, and so it was a godsend to be able to charge my phone quickly whenever I needed it, be it me in college or I was at a friend's house or anything like that. I could stick it on a charger and be out pretty quickly, which was very useful to have. But of course that was for a short period of time before my whole country went into lockdown, and then I haven't really been leaving the house. So fast charging hasn't been as useful to me now as it was before, but it will be again once things get going, and 65W charging was one of the most useful features of this entire phone in my opinion. Now, if you remember the OnePlus 8 Pro, the OnePlus 8 Pro is actually very similar to the Oppo Find X2 Pro. Very similar display, very similar camera system. Now, obviously we're no stranger to the relationship between Oppo and OnePlus and other such companies, so it's not too surprising the Find X2 Pro ended up being similar enough to the OnePlus 8 Pro, but we're not hugely going to get into that. The OnePlus 8 Pro did have one feature, however, that I think the Oppo Find X2 Pro should have had, and I thought it was very strange that it didn't. Wireless charging. I'm not the biggest fan of wireless charging. I don't really care if a phone doesn't have it, but I know a lot of people do care, and I was surprised to see that this was left out of a phone that actually cost more than the OnePlus 8 Pro as well. Now, the Oppo Find X2 Pro also has a really interesting design. It's a vegan leather back, so it's kind of like a weird plasticky texture, but it's not bad. It doesn't feel fake. It's just a different back to a phone. You can also get a ceramic glass one if you're not interested in that, so it's not as if you're forced into this one option. There are multiple options, and while I prefer the vegan leather one that's orange and I used a clear case, you can get a ceramic back one that's just like glass and it's black and it looks very nice as well. And one of the other big issues with this phone that I thought was very strange was the price. Now, it depends on where you looked. You could get it for like 1200, 1300, 1400, depending on where you looked back when it came out. Now you can get it for about 1,000, which is still pretty expensive considering the OnePlus 8 Pro is a very similar device with wireless charging. There's just so much that Oppo did get right with this phone that I can't really fault it in a lot of ways. It's been perfect for my usage. The battery is great, the camera is great, the speakers are great. Everything about it has been amazing to use, and I think that Oppo actually launched one of the most perfect devices of 2020 with pretty much all the features you could want. Now, what did this phone have that others didn't of 2020? Now, it was fast. I liked the software experience. The camera was good. Everything about it was a decent experience. Even a fast enough update schedule. Not great. Back in November, the company started to roll out Android 11 for the Find X2 Pro, which I thought was good. It was kind of fast in comparison to other OEMs. Not the fastest, but it was grand. It was okay. However, a lot of users still haven't actually gotten that update. I found a way, if you check my Twitter, to force the update, but Oppo patched it so that you can't really do it anymore. Users have apparently found a workaround. I haven't tested it myself, but otherwise, yeah, like if you're going to launch it, it seems that it hasn't launched globally. I had to rebrand my device to be a Singapore device to get the update. Despite obviously not living in Singapore, I had to do that just so I could get the Android 11 update, which I feel a lot of people shouldn't need to do, especially if the update is coming out in regions and has been for what's 2 months now. And don't get me wrong, the Android 11 update for it is very good. There's a lot of useful features. It's pretty cool. There's like a new always on display that you can customize yourself. And then you get all of Android 11's privacy features as well, coupled with just a slightly enhanced UI and some other changes as well. That Android 11 on the Find X2 Pro is very good, and I haven't run into many issues. I've had a couple of slowdowns and weird color changes on the screen, but I've had nothing that makes it unusable or suggests that the company is uncomfortable with releasing it to a wide array of devices. So this is something big that Oppo would want to fix, is either improving their update schedule or just rolling out the update to people faster, considering they have it and are slowly doing it what seems to be either on a region by region basis or a carrier by carrier basis, despite them selling non-carrier versions of the phone. And then finally, the price is extremely high for this phone. I don't understand why they've charged such a high price. As I said, it was 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, whatever price it was. It was very inconsistent, but it was always above the 1,000 mark, which I thought was encroaching into Samsung's territory, which Oppo, I don't know if they have the name brand recognition to pull that off quite yet. To put it all simply, the Oppo Find X2 Pro is my favourite phone of 2020, and there's a lot that can be improved upon for next year. I think that the Oppo Find X3 Pro is going to be a lot better, and there's only a few things that the company actually needs to change to make this perfect. If they can pull that off, I can see the Find X3 Pro being one of the best devices of 2021. We'll see how it goes, obviously, because the phone's not out. We know next to nothing about what next year's Find X3 Pro may be, but we can make some educated guesses as to the good base that they have starting with the Find X2 Pro. I think that it'll be very hard for Oppo to go wrong with what they intend on doing, so long as they keep the same winning formula of a great display, great cameras, and a great software experience. The flagship hardware that is packed into the Find X2 Pro is basically the top end of everything you could get last year. The camera experience will obviously be beaten by some more experienced OEMs, such as, to be honest, Huawei or Google, and obviously the iPhones of the world, but we're making Android comparisons here. The Find X2 Pro still did a very good job, was extremely competitive, and was one of the best cameras of last year. I think there's an argument to be made that the Find X3 Pro, should it build upon this, improve in the software department, camera department marginally, and the price, coupled with adding wireless charging, there's a lot that can go right from such a good base that it would be hard for the company to make a mistake and come down a rung. I'm extremely looking forward to the Find X3 Pro, and I'm hoping that the company can knock it out of the park just like they did with the Find X2 Pro. I don't know if any of you have thoughts on the Find X2 Pro yourselves, but personally it's one of my favourite devices of the year, and there are definitely some changes that could be made to improve upon it even further. This has been Adam Conway with XDA TV. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Find X2 Pro and what you want to see with the Find X3 Pro this year. Thanks for watching.